Welcome to my talk about AI, or indeed, what exactly is AI? So the intuitive response is a rather mediocre movie from Steven Spielberg in the early aughts. But this is not what we're talking about, of course. I want to explain what everyone should know about artificial intelligence, deep learning, and neural networks. And when I say everyone, frankly, I'm a bit disappointed that not more teachers have showed up, because it's important for them, and we'll see why. Okay, why this talk? I had been planning and wanting to do something on AI for a long time in different formats. Like there's definitely going to be a year 7 lesson. The year 13s I've had one sort of off the cuff just yesterday, and maybe assemblies and the like, because I think that's something that's really important because it's everywhere in the culture around us, and there's a lot of sort of misinformation, if you will, and misunderstanding about AI. And things have accelerated because in the past couple of weeks, OpenAI has released what us computer scientists call a conversational agent, which what the Muggle would call a chatbot, based on their GPT-3 language model that outputs text that is undistinguishable from human written text. So much so, a couple of days ago, I read this piece on the internet, on the Independent Online, where they got ChatGPT to write a GCSE history essay and got it marked by a teacher without telling the teacher it was written by a machine. Now, the teacher comments are quite interesting. Loads of point makers are relevant, but depth of analysis is not complex, doesn't reflect how a GCSE history student would analyze it. The lack of mention of this particular person with the history is a surprise. Analysis is pretty basic. Yeah, basic. No enough factual detail. Basic structure is good, but lacking in specific and detailed knowledge. So it's a bit middling, this essay, right? Like, and even the person marking it can say it, right? The lack of key terminology I would expect to see from a GCSE history student. A little structure, more list of points, does not link clearly to the cause of the Second World War. And yet, in spite of all this, it got a 7. So I think this says more about the way we mark essays than it says about AI, but still, it is a concern. So I sent this to my colleagues in history, and our reaction was very much, that's it. It's the end of education. There's no point us trying to do anything with that. So that's the thing. I would try to capture and channel this sentiment of panic, and indeed through information. The best thing you can do against anxiety, aside from distracting it, is to get more information so that because anxiety comes from uncertainty. So if you get a better sense of what's going to happen and what is happening with certainty, you alleviate anxiety. So I asked GPT Chat. In fact, you may have seen I've used GPT Chat to put my contribution to the thinking forum, and it's indistinguishable from human output. So I've asked GPT about the implication of deep learning and natural language model for education. It didn't mention at all the threat of cheating, or as I call it, plagiarism. I'm working on it. I'm going to lean into it to see if it works. Okay, you can also do really fun stuff with it. I mean, I've had so much fun. Write a biblical verse in the style of the King James Bible, explaining how to remove a peanut butter sandwich from a VCR. And the Lord spoke unto him, saying, Fear not, my child, for I shall guide thy hand and show thee the way. Take thy butter knife and carefully insert it between the sandwich and the VCR and gently pry them apart. And with patience and perseverance, the sandwich shall be removed and the VCR shall be saved. Verily I say unto thee, rather keep thy sandwiches in the refrigerator or on thy plate where they belong. This is absolutely hilarious. There's plenty more examples. Now, this is also OpenAI. This is DALL-E 2. You've probably heard about it. I've played a lot with it this summer when I finally reached the front of the waiting list and managed to get my key to the beta. There's no waiting list anymore. Just sign up the thing. I've asked for a cool computer science teacher, and I wanted to steer it towards more like 3D stuff by putting DreamWorks Pixar digital cartoon. You'll notice it didn't actually do 3D DreamWorks Pixar, and frankly, this is what we're going to see. The problem with models is that they reproduce the biases of the data set they were trained with. So DALL-E 2's idea of what is cool, I think, is frankly borderline offensive to me as a computer science teacher, right? Okay, so there's plenty more. Oh yeah, you will often hear that OpenAI has been created by Elon Musk. He was one of like 7 founders, and he left the board in 2018. OpenAI founded in 2015. Musk left the board in 2018. It's still a donor. This is not DALL-E 2, which doesn't allow you to ask for photorealistic pictures of actual people. This is from Stable Diffusion. You'll notice the fingers, there's too many arms, the finger are a bit weird. This is how you kind of recognize it. It's easier for images than it is for text. Oh yeah, so of course I've asked for Emmanuel Macron. Manu doing shredding guitar solo on a festival stage. Look at that, he's working the crowd. But look at that, he's on the stage, he's from the back of the stage, and yet there's another stage in here. No actual festival would be set up like that, right? This is how you see it's not an actual picture. Winston Churchill eating a kebab. Again, third arm, it happens. Weirdly with chopstick. I don't know. Right? So endless hours of fun. But seriously, okay, we obviously need to talk about this because the implications, I mean, we've just scratched the surface, but you can imagine this is going to disrupt, revolutionize, create a lot of trouble. And in fact, even the House of Lords gets it. This is from 2018, 4 years ago. Children need to be adequately prepared for working with and using AI. For a proportion, that means those who specifically study computer science, Jacob, is this will mean a thorough education in AI-related subjects requiring adequate resourcing of the computing curriculum and support for teachers. I'm working on this. This is my job. Okay, for all children, as for everyone, the basic knowledge and understanding necessary to navigate an AI-driven world will be essential. In particular, we recommend that the ethical design and use of technology becomes an integral part of the curriculum. He writes on his PowerPoint presentation where he's not actually put any photo credit in. So maybe I'm not doing that just yet, but it's important, and I will say it's not for all children, it's for everyone. Surely the teachers, the staff, the adults, the parents need to know about this. So when you get a computing teacher, you actually get 3 teachers. I wish they would pay me triple, but that's not the case because computing is made of computer science, the foundations, information technology, the application, and digital literacy, the implication. So I have structured my talk in a similar fashion. Can you believe this is just, we're at the end of the introduction. We're getting there. The foundation is artificial intelligence. We need to talk about what this actually means. The applications is deep learning. This is the stuff. Those are your GPT-3, your DALL-E 2, your Stable Diffusion, your Midjourney, your models. We'll also talk about what is a model. And finally, the implications. I'm probably not going to have the time to do it, but I hope that this will be put online for everyone to see. The implications are the ethics of AI. Okay, so first up, artificial intelligence. Well, complicated topic, if I'm honest, mainly because it's hard to define intelligence. From the point of view of what's going on now, there's this famous quote from the 20th century science fiction writer Arthur C. Clarke: any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Again, just trim the picture wrongly. This is what I tell to lower 6 students, year 12, when they start A-level computer science, because to most people, technology now has become sufficiently advanced, which means that to those who do not understand it, it is magic. So if you study computer science, you know the secrets. The rest are muggles, and the A-level computer science, you're joining Hogwarts. So now, this is, I just took a screen snap of the first website that shows up when you Google AI startup. And I think AI is being used. AI is loosely defined. Like a processor, we know what it is. There's several types, but it's clearly defined. AI, like big data, it's more of an English term than a computing term. So it means different things to different people. And in terms of marketing, it's essentially used as a buzzword that might as well mean magic. Get smarter about magic. Discover how magic empowers agents to perfect CX. CX, customer experience. UX is user experience. And then the perfect CX, it's suggesting the next right behavior. It shouldn't come as a surprise to you that technology is manipulating us every day. Next slide, please. Okay, yeah, I'm not talking about sentient machines, right? Like this, you can have a conversation with a chatbot, but it's still a chatbot, right? It's just artificial intelligence is not artificial sentience. We're leaving aside the idea of consciousness, self-awareness, and all that stuff. Artificial intelligence, well, what is intelligence? Intelligence, the ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skill. Example, an eminent man of great intelligence. Mr. Suzinski, talking about you. So, knowledge and skills. Can tech, artificial, apply knowledge and skill? Artificial intelligence is intelligence that doesn't come from humans and from animals. Now, notice, perceiving, synthesizing, and inferring information. Speech recognition, computer vision, translation between natural languages or indeed programming languages, which we can do with the chatbot GPT. You'll notice that general intelligence is about knowledge. Artificial intelligence is about information. Now, the process of refinement in what I would call informatics goes like this. Data, this is the largest set. This is so okay. All of the marks of all of the students at the latest tracking test, that's data. And then from that, you extract information, the averages, the median, the quartile progress from the previous tracking text, that's information. And then from that, hopefully, you derive knowledge, like maybe we should teach this unit in a different way. That's the idea. So artificial intelligence, I'll come back to this, but it's helpful if you think of it as working with information rather than knowledge. The language model has no idea what it's talking about. It just works with information. It's just trying to figure out what's the next word that's going to come based on all the previous word and the question I was asked. Right. Before we had deep learning, there were applications for AI. They would like use lookup words. So things like autocorrect, castle, and spell check, right? You just look like what is the nearest word, what words, have a lot of letters in common with the wrongly spelled word, and then you figure it out. There's also ELIZA. So this is 1966. ELIZA is a chatbot, probably the first chatbot. It was meant to be a Rogerian psychotherapist. Rogerian psychology is about mirroring. So the patient tells you something and you try and repeat it to them, often as a question, to get to prompt thing, which means you don't need a master's degree in psychology to do that, right? So it looks like that, right? It's something all now like, what is the connection, do you suppose? Elisa says that when it's a bit, it's stuck in a corner, just the right thing. Can you think of specific examples? My boyfriend made me come here. Is it important to you that your boyfriend made you come here? The way that works, it's ELIZA knows, like, can detect sentences and reword them and feed them back into its own lines, potentially rewording them as a question. I am unhappy. What made you unhappy? So it recognizes things like I am, and thankfully English, the grammar of English makes that much easier than say if it was like German or French in that instance. And of course, so this is 1996. The gentleman here is Garry Kasparov. He is a chess grandmaster, and he was defeated in this game, or one game in a series of games, by Deep Blue, a supercomputer by IBM. This is a supercomputer from 1996. That's not the computer, it's just the terminal. The computer is wardrobe-sized. I think it's been bought by some company and does something that is, it's like a retired sportsman, if you will. You can also picture this in a slightly different way. This is you. You're just passing information between your RE teacher and the computer. And the chess game is an essay marking, if you will, right? And then we have the natural language model. So this is what education is going to look like from now on. And I do think we need to talk about this. Hello, come on in, sit down, George. Now, okay, Venn diagram. We love our Venn diagram. That explains to us what is included in this. Artificial intelligence is very broad. The chess game that was won with symbolic AI and decision trees. This is what, there's also machine learning. Some machine learning is done outside of neural network. You can learn rules. So a spam filter is about using things you've marked as spam and not spam, and then the words in there will imply a certain probability of an incoming email being spam or not. You can inspect that. You can look up at all of the probabilities of the word and tweak it. All of that stuff, not the red bit, but all of that stuff, this is auditable. This is inspectable by humans. This bit to the left is called good old-fashioned AI, GoFAI. I am not making this up. This is an actual term, and it's in fact from 1985. There's this idea of like, as we started doing machine learning, vector machines, and so on, someone said, well, okay, let's talk the stuff we were doing before that as good old-fashioned AI. Don't know about good, certainly old-fashioned. And then we've come full circles, because 20 years after Deep Blue, AlphaGo, which is a Go program, a Go player, and synthetic algorithmic Go player. I'm not going to say artificial intelligence because there's nothing intelligent about it, but managed to defeat Lee Sedol, a Go grandmaster. And that's in 2016, so it's 20 years after Deep Blue. And they did that using deep learning neural networks, the thing we're going to talk about. When I was at university, I took 2 semesters of AI. It was IA1 and IA2. I was in French, obviously. And I can't remember which one of them. We're talking about this. We're talking about, like, chess, exploring the possibility trees of chess games and so on. And then Go back then, because back then we only had good old-fashioned AI. Go was seen as the challenge that was nearly impossible, and someone in the lecture hall raised their hand and pointed out, isn't the number of possible combination of a Go board larger than the number of atoms in the universe, meaning that you cannot brute force it. You will have to use heuristics. Okay, that's the end of artificial intelligence. Let's talk about machine learning, or specifically deep learning, because when they talk about AI in the marketing prospectus, where it might as well be called magic, they don't mean AI, they mean DL. But it doesn't sound quite as good. So deep learning. Oh, yeah. Machine learning is a reminder to proofread your essays, because this is a Google Scholar search for machine learning, and there are 703,000 academic papers that have been published with machine learning in the title. Get someone to proofread your stuff. Double check, triple check. Do not trust just a spell checker, because learning is an English word. So machine learning, machine learning. What? Anyway, that was just a little side. Okay, good old-fashioned algorithm. They are a program. There is code written here. They take an input, they return an output. Straightforward, right? The interaction, the human interacts with the program in that he writes the program, he reads the program, there's comments in the program, and so on. You've got machine learning without neural networks, sort of rules-based. The program will store, it learns because it stores a set of rules. You can still look at both. That's the crucial part. In the new way of doing things, that deep learning, what processes the input is a model. It returns an output. This model was arrived at, was trained based using a machine learning algorithm and some training data. So the human, the point of interface with the human, the little green silhouette, is that they configure the machine learning algorithm and then they can choose the training data. But the model is completely opaque. I wanted to do a slide of math, but I thought it's a Friday in December, and even I am not that cruel. So unless you're super keen on linear algebra, we could probably skip it. But the model is essentially a big spreadsheet full of numbers. So you can't look at it and say, oh, this is why it returns that. And those numbers are being tweaked by the training data is a set of inputs with known outputs. And we say, okay, when we feed that, you should return this. And the numbers are tweaked until it gets the output, the desired output for training data. So you can have a look at it. So yeah, it's all math, essentially, is what I'm saying. It's all linear algebra. It's not even very exciting math, right? Because it's all multiplication and addition, but done in such a large number that essentially until the 21st century, maybe even the 2010s, we didn't have the computing power to actually do it. So you can again replace. How'd that look? Discover how maths empower Asian, learn how to get inside enlightened maths egg solution. Doesn't sound as good as magic, right? If you want to find out more, playground.tensorflow.org. TensorFlow is the Python written, it's one of the big ones, open source machine learning algorithm, and they have a visualizer where you can define your neural network, set up your parameters, train it, and see whether it manages to do a classification exercise. It's a really useful website if you want to kind of understand how it works under the hood. And in fact, and you want to understand why we can't really see why it returns something based on an input. It's not inspectable. We don't know what's in it. And therein lies the danger. So I owe a huge debt of gratitude to Professor Miles Berry, who is the principal lecturer in computing education at the University of Roehampton. He was on the working group that wrote the computing curriculum, so in a way it's his fault if you struggle. And he did a lecture, and I kind of ripped a lot of that, and particularly that bit of wordplay, but also just the three-part structure. It's just kudos to Mr. Berry, Miles. Okay, right. So neural network reproduce the biases of their training sets. Repeat after me. If there's one sentence you need to memorize, remember it's this. So flight attendant, bit sexist, right? Okay, I'm going to throw a bunch of stuff generated by DALL-E, and you can look for yourself where the bias is. Engineer. Okay, I'm technically an engineer. They don't give you the hard hat and the blueprints when you graduate. Also, it's like falling asleep on the 207 bus because it's like White City. Am I right? Okay, this one needs work. Doctor, again, the stethoscope. I mean, no one, literally, it's like only in your first year of doctor training are you so proud that you wear the stethoscope. After that, no one does it. And in fact, it's how you recognize the junior from the senior doctors. Although a good balance of gender and ethnicity. Nurses, they are male nurses. Lawyer, now lawyer, this is actually getting literally cartoony, right? It's a caricature of what we think a lawyer is. Apparently a man with a tie and some big books or whatever. Same deal for criminal. I mean, this is out of a Guy Ritchie movie. And again, it's like the fact that it's returned a cartoon tells you that it's the idea, the perception, the archetype, the sort of caricature of a criminal or a lawyer, not the actual actual thing. Let's rewind the clock. In March 2016, Microsoft published, they actually plugged into Twitter. They created a Twitter account for Tay. This was their bot, a chatbot. They trained it on internet content, and then it was going to learn based on what Twitter users told him. I can see from your faces you've guessed where this is going to go, and it's surprising that no one at Microsoft. It's March 2016. It's not like Twitter was new, right? It's surprising that no one at Microsoft saw it coming. So the thing was online for a grand total of 16 hours because he was like pulling out Holocaust denial, do you support genocide? Oh yeah, a bit of a Trump nod. Why not? Okay. Nice person. I just say everybody. At least this kind of, this inequality in the, that's interesting. Your stupid machine. Well, I learned from the best because it learns from Twitter. It just reproduces the biases of when it was trained on. I learned from you and you are dumb too. And in that case, Tay isn't wrong. So the outcome of this in December 2016, so they did that. They did a new one. They've pulled it since then. No one's talked about Zoe because it was much better controlled. And then, Tay had a great influence on how Microsoft is approaching AI, mainly by moving completely away from the text language model space. We've not heard about them. It's all Google and OpenAI essentially doing this kind of stuff now. And the importance of taking accountability for accidentally setting up a massively problematic Twitter bot. Well, okay, regulating AI, it is a bit of a concern. In the general data protection regulation that comes from the European Union, it's been rewritten in UK law post-Brexit in 2018. There is a chapter about AI. The data subject should have the right not to be subject to a decision based solely on automated processing, including profiling, which produces legal effect concerning him or her, or similar significant effects. What this means here. So in particular, when we talk about applications of AI in like military, law enforcement, and so on, is that, at the end of the day, it is human beings that make decisions, and some of the decision might be to let a deep learning AI model make the decision. So in a way, like the defense, to protect ourselves against the dangers of AI, it's about making smart decisions on the human side of the equation, right? Do not let your model take all the decision. Get someone to review it. Get someone to benchmark and check what is happening, which is in a way what ChatGPT, the people at OpenAI are doing with ChatGPT, right? You can say, I like this one, this is very accurate, or like this answer has got a problem. Also, is it worth the carbon, right? Okay, training an AI model, it's 626 tons of carbon. A year, an American would output 36 tons of carbon a year, a European about 20, because we just like that. We don't like cars as much, essentially. So yeah, that's very costly. But you can do fun stuff like that. Application for a software engineer job in the rambling style of a Donald Trump speech. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, I can't do a good Trump. Can anyone do a good Trump? Trump impression? Anyone? Okay, fine. But my next step after that was to look for, because you can deepfake voices. You train something on speech from a person, you tell them what the text is, and then that enables you to feed text and get it to output audio that is the voice of the person. So I went looking for like a Trump generator, but I'm still working on it. I'll make your company great again. Is there something about building a wall? Nah. Okay, fair enough. Now, okay, academia, plagiarism. Nah. So, Galaxy Brain. First level, copying and pasting from Google results. If you do that, because you need to curate what comes out of the result, you're actually learning, right? Not as much as if you've done it all yourself, and depends how quick you are, but next step up, actually using a deep learning language model. But the real scale is to become your own deep learning language models, because we are all neural networks, and education is about training neural network. And in fact, our neural networks are not as energy demanding as synthetic artificial neural network. They run on glucose. Okay, they need temperature regulation and it's a bit fragile and so on, but you know what I'm saying. So, but practically speaking, I wish more teachers were in the room, because this is really one for the teachers. We can train ourselves as teachers. We can train our own neural network to detect pieces that have been written by deep learning models, because they have kind of those little factual errors, and then they all end up sounding the same. Whereas like you can recognize someone's voice in an essay, right? Especially if you've taught them for a while, you can see, well, okay, that doesn't sound like you. So there is this website. So there was a sort of invasion of fake LinkedIn accounts that use made-up faces faces made with a deep learning algorithm. And then this website was created, which face is real. This one is a bit of a difficult one, but as you keep playing, you get better at spotting the fakes. And what you're doing is you're training your neural network. You get input, it's a choice. Your output is a choice, and there's feedback about you did the right choice or the wrong choice. So I think the solution. So this is one for I guess like the questions. So if you need to go, George. Which essay is real.com? Good evening, dragons. This is my pitch, right? Which essay is real.com? The domain is available. If you were to build a web app that has a database of essays, some written by real people, some written by deep learning models based on the same question, and then you put the question and one human essay, one artificial essay. You ask the person to detect what is it. At first, they'll get it wrong, but as they keep playing, they will train their neural network. We've come full circle to be able to detect this. So, there's like the website, the domain is available. There's something to be done here. That could be a very good A-level project, actually. Okay, that's it. I've started with a quote from Clark, so I need to finish by a quote from Clark. He said, any teacher that can be replaced by a machine should be. This was sort of rephrased by Dr. David Thornburg. Any teacher that can be replaced by a computer deserves to be. To which I add, babes, it's already happened. Questions? I need to change